Greetings, brethren. I am the donkey. And no, I haven't been wearing the same shirt for 3 days. I've just been recording 3 episodes tonight. So you get me slightly buzzed after drinking 2 beers relatively quickly, because I just sort of, went at it to get these videos done. Mostly because I recorded the second and the third video before, but I didn't like the lighting. It just made me look extra greasy. I mean, I always look kind of greasy because I'm still a bit overweight. I'm trying to get rid of all that weight, and I don't know. I always look kind of greasy and gross, but I looked extra greasy and gross. So that wasn't acceptable, so I remade those two. But now, we shall venture outside of Germany, because I've had Beck's, I've had Tannenzäpfle, one of my favorites. And now we are going to go to the misty islands of Japan and have Kirin Ichiban. Now, the thing that you have to understand when I do these sort of foreign beers, I like foreign beers. I'm not a German elitist when it comes to beer. I do think there are plenty of nations that make good foreign beers, but a lot of these beers aren't actually made in the very foreign lands, because shipping beer, bottled especially, around the world is kind of hard. So a lot of these companies, these foreign companies, what they'll do when they sell their beer in Germany is that they will make them in Germany. I don't know how well you can probably not see that particularly well. Let's see. Can I? No, but you can't really see it. But it says that this was brewed and bottled in Freising, Germany, and it was under the license from Kirin Europe company in Düsseldorf. So it's not the original. It is a reprint, I guess. It is made under license. So I'm not entirely sure how this compares to the original, and this sort of goes as a head notice for all of the foreign beers, because a lot of them are actually made in Europe. I've noticed that with some of the Canadian beers as well, that they're actually made in the Czech Republic or in Bulgaria, some of them. I've seen some that are, I think some American beers are made in Italy. So I don't really know exactly how the originals are done, but I would imagine they would be similar, right? So, oh, actually, what I should say is I have had Sapporo before, which was an actual import. So that was an original Sapporo beer. And I have had the sort of German brewed version of Sapporo, and they were very similar. So I'll have that in a future episode. But for now, Kirin Ichiban, which I also have had before, but it's just I like drinking beer, so you're gonna have to get that. Again, we're dealing with a small bottle, so it's not going to fill up the mug particularly well. And my pouring skills are terrible today, because this barely got any head. And I mean, this usually gets a better head than that. Let's see. Any more? Nah, not really. All right. Oh, this might not be a good one. This might have sat in the warehouse a bit too long. Has a bit of an sort of an acrid smell, sort of an alcohol-y smell. So maybe it's not as good as it usually is, but we'll see. No, it's fine. It just has a funny smell, but it tastes how it usually tastes. So, out of all the beers that aren't German, and there are quite a lot of them, I think Japanese beer is probably the one that comes the closest to German beer. Not saying that they're trying to, really replicate German beer, but just taste-wise, it really tastes a lot like a sort of North German beer, sort of, you know, Prussian, Westphalian belt sort of area. And it's nice. It's very drinkable. It's definitely a drinking beer. So we're talking the middle tier of beer where you can just get rid of them, but it still has a lot of flavor. And it's just, it doesn't have, it's also very smooth. It doesn't have any of those, you know, negatives that some of the high flavor beers sometimes have, where they're really acrid, really acidity, you know, those sort of things. Or it's so bitter that the taste just stays with you and doesn't leave ever. It doesn't have any of that. It's just smooth, it's nice, it's very fresh. I think I would call this a summer beer, really. Because it's just easy to drink and nice. Yeah, it's just lovely. It's I would call this a good beer for a sort of sports environment, right? If you're having a game, if you're watching a game, like myself, I really like to watch the NHL. And you're watching a hockey game, or you're watching a football game, or you're watching an American football game, or a hurling game. This is the kind of beer you want to be drinking. There's a good amount of flavor. It's not offensive in any way, right? It doesn't really require your palate to do much work. You know, you can be having wings, or you can be having chicken nuggets, or chicken tendies, or just whatever you want to do in food-wise, right? But it won't overpower all of that. It won't just take over and be like, ugh, now everything I'm gonna eat is gonna taste like beer. So it's just a nice drinking beer for, yeah, a sports game on a summer's eve. And don't we all love having a good beer on a summer's eve when we're watching a sports game? Kirin Ichiban. Yeah, I really like it. It's a lot of foreign beers do have that sort of problem where I think they get the balance wrong of their flavors. Especially I find this to be a problem with foreign beers that try to ape German beers. I'm sure we'll get to this beer. It's one that I really, really hate, Samuel Adams, where they try to really go for that, but they get it wrong, and they get their balances wrong, and it just kind of tastes awful. You know, it's so overpowering, and it doesn't have a good balance. This one has a lovely balance, and so far every beer I've had from Japan has been really good. I'm really, really flabbergasted by just the ability of the Japanese, apparently, to make really good, well-balanced, and well-flavored beers. In the grand scheme of things, what would I give this? I think for this one, I'm actually gonna have to break out the decimals, because I don't think it quite reaches a 7 out of 10. I think this is a 6.5 out of 10. It's a good beer. It's really drinkable. It's really nice. It's really refreshing. But it's not a beer that I would necessarily seek out, right? So if I go to a bar and they had, you know, Tannenzäpfle, episode 3, I probably wouldn't get a Kirin Ichiban over that. But if I would go to a Japanese bar that had Kirin Ichiban and Sapporo and, you know, a few other brands, or at least the ones that I've already tried, I would probably get this, because I think out of the Japanese beers, spoilers, this is probably the best one. At least the best one I've tried so far. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different breweries in Japan. and we only get a very sort of limited selection in Europe. So Kirin might be, I don't know, it might be a very popular beer there. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. If you have been to Japan or you are Japanese, let me know what you think of Kirin Ichiban. Is that the most popular beer in Japan? Is it popular at all? I don't know, but I really like it. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 is what I'm going to give Kirin Ichiban. It's a really nice, light, drinkable, summery beer that I would really love to have on a summer's eve. But I don't know. I would have this. I'm not sure I would have this in a setting where I'm just gonna have one beer. Right? This is definitely not a enjoyment beer. This is definitely a drinking beer. So we are definitely in category 2, 6.5. Cheers. It's very decent. I like it. All right. I wish you all a really lovely evening, and check out my channel if you like it. Hit the like button. If you really like it, hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends and whatever. And I'll see you in the next video where I'll talk again about beer.